Surprising as it is to say, there's even a limit to the number of feats I've achieved. Yes, everyone, we are continuing on with the Pathfinder Swashbuckler Guide for 1st edition, and we are taking a look at feats, where this is actually part 2 for the feat guide. We're going to be wrapping everything up, but I would like to point out that a commenter popped in for last Saturday's video, a Patrick McGrath, and he pointed out that there are certain things in the feat order that could be changed around, and possibly for the better, and I'm not of any major inclination to argue. He did say that these were minor nitpicks overall, which, you know, minor, major, whichever, he made some well-reasoned points. Firstly, taking combat reflexes sooner than 7th level will allow you to more quickly be able to utilize your high dexterity bonus for your attacks of opportunity, getting more ripostes, and heighten your ability to negate damage earlier on when you're not wearing the heaviest armor. You don't have the highest dex score possible. I shouldn't say the heaviest armor, the armor that offers you the highest armor class bonus overall. And, you know, that's a really well-reasoned point. I'm of no inclination to argue that. And also swapping out extra panache for greater weapon specialization, or weapon focus to increase your bonus to attack is certainly very viable and very useful. And same thing for power attack. It's something that is a bit more flavorful. Well, he said flavorful. I like the bonus to damage output, and yes, you do take a penalty to your attack bonus, but given that Swashbucklers have one of the best base attack bonus progressions, and also we're running off of our dexterity to hit, and we're going to be stacking up all kinds of bonuses, I feel like that penalty is negligible when compared to the damage payout that you get from it, on top of the fact that that damage is multiplied by the critical hits, and we are going to be building up quite a few critical hits. But as always, this is the same caveat I give to every build guide episode. Take everything here with a grain of salt, and certainly play around with the feat order as much as you can. Many things still have requirements that need to be met first before you can take them, but none of this is set in stone. I mean, play with everything how you want to and adjust, tweak. You may find something that works incredibly well, that synergizes with everything, and it works better taking it sooner rather than later. But now with all that said and out of the way, thank you very much, Patrick, for taking the time to comment. I massively appreciate it. Thank you. But now we're going to go ahead and get on with the video here. To begin with, we are going to be taking Signature Deed at 16th level for our bonus feat. It requires the Panache class feature and Swashbuckler 11th level. Now, normally, when you go to the website to check this out, this says a gunslinger, and it requires that you have the grit feature, but Paizo has come out and officially said that because Swashbuckler is a mashup of gunslinger and fighter, that this feat applies. What this will do for you is you pick a deed that you're able to use. Once around, you may perform it for 1 panache point less than normal. You must have at least 1 panache point in your pool to be able to use this. This is massively useful, does a lot to help you conserve your panache points as we are also trying to build them up. Find a deed that you are able to perform that will allow you to decrease the cost. There are some that you cannot decrease any costs for, so read each description carefully. And then for 17th level, we're going to take Stunning Critical. This requires a staggering critical feat and a plus 17 to your base attack bonus, but the benefits are massive. It works like staggering, but stuns for 1d4 rounds, so there's no plus 1 there, and if you keep doing this back to back, you only add 1 additional round to the length of time that they're stunned. The nice thing is, though, is that stunning will force opponents to drop their drop whatever items they're holding. The negative status effects just rack up more and more. Stunning is just a massive improvement over staggering an opponent. So definitely something you want to have in your toolkit. And then of course we go on from stunning critical at 17th level to our 19th level feat, which will be our bonus feat, and that's greater weapon focus. This requires weapon focus, specialization, and that you're a 12th level fighter, which we count as, and we gain another +1 bonus to attack with rapiers. So this is what one feat that Patrick suggested that we take much earlier at 12th level, since we would qualify for it then. But overall, this just helps with your ability to attack and hit. I don't see much of a problem putting it here, but there's no harm in putting it earlier either. At least I don't see any, not by any stretch. And finally, I realize here that I've put the bonus feat spot in the wrong place. It needs to be in 20th level. The 20th level feat is our last bonus feat, and this will go towards greater weapon specialization. This requires greater weapon focus and that you're a 12th level fighter, and you will gain an additional +2 bonus damage with rapiers. So again, another damage boost, and this is damage that will be multiplied by critical hits, whereas your precision damage from using your swashbuckler deed will not be multiplied when you have a critical hit. And joining me now is my most adorable co-host, Atticus. He is much more mobile and crawling. Here he is right here. What do you have to say to the folks at home, Atticus? You're grabbing the microphone away. Okay. But you know what? Cutting insight and a sharpened wit, as always, my boy. Thank you very much for participating in here today. So, these are the 20 feats I recommend here, but I have one more for you, and it's an honorable mention, and it's the leadership feat. And it's one that I don't really bring up a lot because I don't like using it, and I'm not a big fan of my players using it, but we'll get into why in a moment here. Let's talk about what it does. This requires that you be level 7. You attract a loyal cohort and a number of devoted subordinates. The cohort will have character class levels, and the subordinates are usually lower level NPCs. The level of the cohort and number of subordinates is based off of your leadership score, which is your level plus your charisma modifier plus a number of other factors, such as do you have a base, did you get a cohort killed, are you generous and kind, etc., etc. These will all affect your leadership score. Now, at level 7, when you're able to take this, you count as being your level counts as part of your leadership score, so that's a 7, and then you get +3 from your charisma modifier, so that's a 10 off of the chart. That allows you to have a level 7 cohort and 5 level 1 subordinates. So say you have a wizard with you, or a druid, or, well, any full spellcasting class. That helps to really round out a lot of your combat abilities. That helps to fill in gaps that maybe the rest of your team might have left in there. Hell, you may not even really need a team if you've got a solid wizard with you that's got haste, giant's growth, and so many other abilities in their repertoire that helps to boost your combat abilities. Overall, this just gets to be nasty very fast. Again, if you have any kind of a base to work out of, like a ship or a keep or an inn or tavern, that's at least another +2 bonus, and if you're generous, that's 3. So at leadership score 13, all those points go up. You get a higher level cohort and more subordinates of a lower level. It stacks up really damn fast, and honestly, I bring it up here because it's something that fits for the Swashbuckler, or I feel like it does. The Witch, you can kind of see where maybe they wouldn't really have the leadership feat. A Bard, possibly not, although they could I could see some story situations where they could take this and attract, basically they attract their own band. But a swashbuckler in particular, it makes a certain amount of sense, especially for any aquatic themed campaigns where they've got their own boat or are stealing their own boat. well, there's the base for them to operate out of, so that's another bonus to their leadership score. And the number of crew that they get, yeah, the subordinates and the cohort, that's the crew for the ship, that can help out quite a bit. And that can be a situation where a DM may allow a swashbuckler player to have this feat, because now they don't have to worry as much about keeping track of the number of crew. This is all taken care of by this chart, and it's something the player should be more actively interested in. And they can still hand wave away, okay, well, the party goes ashore, some of the subordinates come ashore, but they're mainly sticking around the shoreline here. They're keeping an eye on things, on the boat, on the ship. They're doing all these maintenance related things, so I don't have to keep track of them in a fight. It's on your land-based campaigns and all these other things where the party's moving along and there's no reason why they wouldn't bring their cohort and subordinates, so you have now an additional 6 team members to keep track of. With a total of 4 players, that's a total of 10 PC side allies that you have to keep track of, on top of and other opponent NPCs, and it just adds up to a lot really fast. So leadership is something that will probably not be allowed at a lot of tables. I know I discourage my players from taking it, or if they do, we find some way of having them be limited in their capacity. But these are just one man's thoughts. Certainly, like I said, that none of this is set in stone. There's always caveats, exceptions, and clever ideas out there that just make everything much more viable. What did you think? Go on down into the comments below and let me know your thoughts. Hit the like button or dislike button if you're so inclined, and let me know if I missed the mark or if I scored a bullseye here. But with that said, we're going to go ahead and call it and wrap everything up. I've been your host, Jordan, your master of lore and storyteller extraordinaire, and this has been Atticus, my voraciously curious and most adorable co-host, and very destructive co-host, journeyman, apprentice storyteller, and uninitiated into any circles of lore. With that said, have yourselves a good night. Oh, buddy.